Alright, so AnimeDefenders Update 20 just released. And I know I don't usually make AnimeDefenders videos here in this channel anymore, but I wanted to talk about AnimeDefenders specifically. Specifically because this update that released is actually, in my opinion, their best update to date. Since they got released, that is. So I do think that it is their best update to date since they re-released their game. And I really actually kind of like this update, but there are several issues that we're going to talk about in this video specifically. Number one, the remodels are starting to get worse, and now it's not just, you know, specific units. Now everybody's starting to get like reworked. So at first it was a controlled amount. Now you've got units like Vegeta getting reworked. You've got units like Goku getting reworked. You got units like Curse King or Sukuna getting reworked. You've got most of the units getting reworked. Umbra Nuclear, okay, this one still looks pretty decent. Most of them now are getting reworked. A lot of the units are getting reworks. Each and every single update adds new reworks that are not really anime-like. Like, good thing though that they're still pretty cool models. Like, I do believe that the models for Goku, Vegeta are still pretty good. But that's not the point. The point is we play these games because we want to see or collect the anime characters that we want to see, right? Like, AnimeDefenders had models that look nothing like the anime, and AnimeDefenders is not at that level yet, but people hated AnimeDefenders because the models there were nothing like the animes. And now, AnimeDefenders is starting to go a little bit into that direction. And while it's still not nearly as bad, it is starting to get, in my opinion, approaching that level. Not close yet, but it's starting to get there. Like, if they continue at the path they're going right now, eventually most of the units that they're going to be adding, or a lot of the units in this game, will be unrecognizable to how they look like in the anime. So it's still not very bad because the designs are still pretty cool in my opinion. But in my opinion, it's not a positive as well. Now, dungeon game mode, in my opinion, is very cool. I've watched Perry's review about this, honestly, and I actually do like the dungeon game mode a lot. I do like the dungeon game mode. I do like what they're doing with this. I do like basically the new units as well. I like them. However, the other complaint that I have for dungeon is I believe it takes around 3 to 4 hours to complete a single dungeon. Now, if you don't think that's long, then you have no life, right? 3 to 4 hours for a single dungeon for a chance of the unit to get is pretty bad in my opinion. However, since dungeon does give you pretty good rewards the more you do it, then it's not as bad actually. It's actually not as bad. It's not nearly as bad, to be honest, because you have rewards that you can get from these dungeon right here. However, like I previously mentioned, if you want to get the unit from dungeons, it will take like a long time, a very long time. But not just that, apparently the evolution items you need to collect the evolution materials for the new units that was added in this update, according to some people that I've seen on Discord, it actually takes you several hours as well. And by several hours, I mean a long time, apparently. Now, it does take several hours to evolve every single unit in this update. Like, I think like 13 hours, something like that, to evolve basically every unit in the update. And it's honestly, 13 hours for, I believe, every unit in the update is, so something like that. So like 12 hours for every unit and like 3 to 4 hours for a single unit to evolve a single unit. It's honestly not that bad. So that is a good step in that direction. But that, in my opinion, still takes a pretty long time, right? So essentially, one of my biggest complaints with this update, apart from the remodels, you know, that they're doing, which thankfully the remodels are still pretty cool, is that even though they're adding pretty decent game modes like dungeon, because dungeon is a pretty decent game mode in my opinion, and I think a lot of people agree with me. Number one, the time it takes, the time investment you have to put in order to get any unit in this update, to get you know, the new unit from the dungeon is a little bit too long. 3 hours to finish dungeon, to finish the entire dungeon run. You could do like 3 of these in a single day. So 3 to 5 hours for this is a little bit too long. If they were to speed it up, in my opinion, that would be perfect. And the next problem that I have is how long this update took to be released. Okay, I don't really have any complaints with how long it takes to evolve a unit. 3 hours to evolve a unit. That's always been how AnimeDefenders did things. Like, they always were very grindy, okay? They always were a very grindy game. But in my opinion, one of the biggest problems I need to talk about here as well is how long this update took to be released. This update took around 5 weeks to release, and the content that we got in this update, I'm sorry to say this, is honestly pretty comparable to what we got in an update that took AnimeVanguard's 3 weeks. So I'm not trying to compare both of these games. It will happen naturally because they are competing with each other. But AnimeVanguard's did more in shorter time. And in my opinion, a little bit better quality too. You could argue about quality all you want. It may be subjective, but you can't argue the fact that AnimeVanguard's did it in 3 weeks, while it took this game like 6 weeks to do it. So you can see clearly that there is a problem with how long it's taking these updates to release. Not that this update, in my opinion, is very bad. It's not a very bad update. It just is very time consuming. But the time it takes for these updates to release is just a little bit worrying and also annoying, because 5 weeks for these updates to release is not that good, honestly. And honestly, I do think that the reason why they make these stuff very grindy is so that they can basically just let people grind for 5 weeks, like give people an insane grind and, you know, take 5 weeks to release the next update, make money, rinse and repeat. Because I don't think an update of this size take 5 weeks. I mean, AnimeVanguards with similar quality can do it in less time, more stuff too. And I think AnimeAdventures can do it too. But yeah, I think this update all in all is the best update that they've released ever since they re-released. However, I do think that there are some things that needs to be fixed. A big problem that I see with AnimeAdventures as well is how most of the newer players that are playing the game that, you know, went into AnimeAdventures when it came back are pretty much left behind. And I do think that AnimeAdventures needs to focus on newer players as well, instead of focusing all their attention into, you know, pro players that have been playing this game for a long time already. Apart from that, I also do believe that AnimeAdventures needs to start loosening up on rerolls and start becoming more free to play. I know that they want to make as much money as possible, but at this rate that they're going, and yeah, the player count, they had 100k on update and then they dropped to like 60k. AnimeVanguards got like 40k on update, and then they kept gaining players as the days go by. They weren't losing players. AnimeVanguard was gaining players as the days went by. AnimeAdventures lost 40k, I think, on a single day. Not even a single day. They lost 40k in like 10-15 hours. And at the rate they're going with how long it takes these updates, how pay to win the game generally is, I mean, compared to AnimeVanguards is way more free to play than this game. I think AnimeAdventures needs to step their game up, not just in how long it takes for them to release their updates, but also in how stingy they are with rerolls. I think it would really help their game a lot if they were to become a lot more free to play. And I really think that would benefit their player count a lot. Apart from, you know, releasing updates more consistently, it would benefit them if they were to just, you know, maybe give players a lot of rerolls to farm, like how AnimeVanguards does it. Yeah, you will have less money, but you're gonna get a more loyal fan base. You're gonna get a more happy fan base. So I think it's still a pretty good update, but you can clearly see that there's a lot of things here that could have been done, 1, faster, and 2, better. So yeah, that's my complaint. I'll see you guys in the next one though.